How do I protect my business while traveling? If you're new to entrepreneurship, you might not be up on this. For many of us, when we leave, then the business will stop, particularly if we're doing solopreneurship, unless we do the special provisions with it. Now, picture this, but then something happens when you're traveling or things get really complicated, then the business is going to stop forever, if not a long time. Excuse me. So there are ways, provisions that you can take to make sure your business is protected while you're traveling. One of the first things is to make sure that other people have access to the stuff that you're doing. Now, this is something that I continuously work on. As you tell by my side, I'm still working on it, but make sure that things can still function in some form even while you're gone. Now, if you have virtual assistant and stuff like that, I think that's a good step in the right direction. But what I mean is literally someone being able to access it. With me and my former partner, when we set up our will and testament and so forth, that was part of the discussion, particularly when we had kids. That was part of the discussion is, all right, well, where's your, at the time it was Facebook, it's a long time ago. I've been on Facebook for years, but it's like, okay, well, we need these passwords or that passwords and ever. It's just so you're good. It's like, how do you handle it? What about your bank account over here? Can anyone else access that? Things like that. Yes, that's a life and death situation, but travel can be the same. I love to travel. I'm not trying to discourage you from traveling at all. I would be the biggest hypocrite in the world. As they say today, my passport stays on pivot probably until COVID, and I slow down quite a bit, and of course having my little kids. But my point isn't that you shouldn't travel. My point is that you should be prepared to travel. And if you're going to do that, then you need to make sure that stuff is aligned. When we travel, we do take the risk of something happening while we're traveling, whether it's physically or something ends up happening as far as with a government thing or whatever. Or, we just end up stranded somewhere and we still have bills due and things of that nature. So it's important that we try to protect ourselves in that way. So, number one, making sure someone else has access to your stuff. The second part of it is making sure that before you get on the plane or train, automobile, whatever, that you have some type of system in place for the business to function, even if you're not able to get back in time. So whether it's in the case of Bringing Worth TV, having episodes scheduled ahead of time, whether it's making sure that you have a clear line of communication with other people that can keep your business going. And these things come into play a lot, particularly as we get older. Again, I'm middle aged, so as we get older, as we have other people that are dependent on us, in my case, my kids, it might be your parents or other folks, we need to make sure that stuff is going. Also, too, when it comes to making sure that our business continues to move, because it's not just the individual people that might be dependent on us. Again, I have my two beautiful little kids. They're dependent on me. Something happens to me, of course, I have my former partner, but I still want to hold it down for us. So there's that, but it's also your obligation and your commitment to the community, the people that you're serving. Will your business continue to operate? I've done several episodes about how to operate and keep your business going while you're traveling. In fact, in the replay, I'll go and put the links below. So if you're watching this on the replay, see the links below. But there's one that talks about how Brene Brown continued to run her business, even though she was taking a sabbatical for several months. Of course, she's multimillionaire, probably a seven-figure business, if not eight figures. She's killing it. Shout out to Brene Brown. But my whole point is that you can also do that as a solopreneur or being on your own. And that comes from having systems in place to make sure that your people are provided for. That's why my calendar appointments are automated. That's why when you go to danebrown.net, then you can automatically go and buy one of my books or book some time for us to do a coaching consultation. I don't need to get the email and then figure it out. It's a lot of it, 99% of it is automated. I would highly recommend thinking about those things. And again, in the replay, I'll put a link in there, or you can just look up Brene Brown Business over at bringyourworth.tv. You can learn more about that. When it comes to actual items that help, these are some of my favorite items that I rock with. The Delta Gold Card, you might be like, it's a credit card. What are you talking about? Number one, I'm a big Delta fan. Shout out to Delta. A lot of the decisions that they made, ethically and otherwise, I appreciate. So far, I'm very much rocking with them for several years now. Now, there's the basic perks as far as yes, you can go and get a check in at least one bag for free. I think it might be two bags now because they changed it recently. Two bags for free. Bags are $50 a piece if you check them in. You know, if you travel a lot, especially with little kids, you know the deal. Just save the money. This does have a nominal annual fee, which I think it might even be cheaper than the bag fee at this point. So you take one flight, you got that back. Then, of course, there's the simple perks as far as getting more frequent flyer miles and also being able to board a little bit faster. The product protection, one, and the flight protection will save your hide. Product protection means that if you buy something with this and something happens to it, like, say, a fire, like a hurricane, like a random thing that happens that is nature made, not you know, not like your kid throwing in the toilet, but but something that's a little bit out of our control, then there's actually purchase protection. I think that's what they call it, purchase protection to help you with that. And it's up to a certain amount. And I think you might even be able to increase the amount depending on what you're doing or what version of this card you get. There's a gold version, there's the platinum version, which I have now, and then there's the reserve version, which is the super fancy version of it. They're all great. I'll leave it at that. So number one, you get the purchase protection for that. I think it also includes, excuse me, if you end up buying something and then you end up finding it for a cheaper price, they might give you credit for it, something like that. But then you have the travel protection. This means that if you're over in Morocco, if you're in Japan somewhere, if you're down in Bogota, Colombia, places that I've been, that and in some of those places, like, you know, when I was in Morocco, I was, you know, I've done episodes with it. You know, me and my former, we're riding camels in Morocco in the middle of the Sahara. There was no cell service. And if something was happening, I didn't have Bring Your Worth TV at the time, this is several years ago, but if something was happening with my business, I wouldn't even know. If something happened to me, y'all wouldn't know. My point is this: those things like travel protection allow you to cancel the hotels, to cancel the flights, to even get a little bit of insurance, health insurance, but we'll get into that in a second. But health insurance and other things to make sure that you're okay when you're on the road. If your business requires you to be on the road, I'm a public speaker. If you can probably tell by my about that I talk, I'm a public speaker, and then I go to conferences like the TED conference and yeah, I can be all over the place. Sometimes I'm right at home in my office, like right now, but other times I'm all over the place. If your business is dependent on you getting your behind on a plane or a train or an automobile, how are you getting coverage for that beyond just your health coverage? Hopefully you have that, but also like just for stuff that happens. Remember there being a death in the family, and like suddenly all these plans need to be rearranged. And I mean, could rely on the goodness of, you know, a hotel or airplane chain. Okay. Again, there's some that I rock with. Or you can have some type of actual protection, whether it's insurance or something like the gold card or one of the Delta cards, where it's like, no, I'm going in a different direction. I can't. This person just passed away. No, I'm not going right now. So I need to cancel everything. I think with the higher cards, they actually allow you to have a concierge. If I remember correctly, a concierge that will help you with that as well. Luckily, I did not need that. So I'm glad to be ignorant on it. But definitely check it out. Again, I've been rocking with Delta for probably going on a decade now. Have had wonderful service with them. And yeah, I would highly recommend it. If you end up rocking with another airline or what have you, be sure and look, as Jizza says in his classic song, you have to read the labels. Definitely read the labels if you're going to get it from another credit card issuer or another airline or even a hotel or whatever. Be sure and read the labels and understand what they will cover and what they will not cover. Please do. Like, please don't click on this just because you know it's affiliate and you might get a bonus from it. Like, please read the labels, make sure it's good for you. Another recommendation is Runway Health. You might have heard me mention them over the last year or two. They're fairly new. I'd say they came out about a year and a half ago, at least when I heard about them. Really simple. It's health insurance a la carte for solopreneurs and entrepreneurs. That's it. Not any deeper than that. I wish something like this existed when I became an entrepreneur many years ago. In fact, before I became an entrepreneur, when I was just a freelancer. Speaking of freelancing, I talked about at the top of the show. Shout out to Catherine and the Institute of Independent Journalists conference happening in a couple weekends. Again, the links are below if you missed the beginning of the episode. But yeah, excuse me, I would have killed, no pun intended, to have something like this. Now, I have family coverage and other things, so I'm good. But if you are where I was, say decade or two ago, you're on your own. You don't have any dependents, so you don't need the massive insurance, but you need some type of coverage when you're, say, flying by yourself to Bogota. Again, shout out to Bogota. You might want some coverage. Runway Health is a good opportunity for you to get that. Be sure and check them out. I think there's a discount with the link that I have there, but shout out to them. Man, some of the I have to tell you, me being a longtime freelancer, some of the amazing stuff that we have now, it literally would have saved my hide when I started many, many moons ago. And 5 secrets to change and transition. You might be asking, Damon, why are we talking about change and transition? I thought we were talking about travel and all these other things. I think it's important to end on this one, and I'll make this the video that you guys go to after you're done watching this on the replay. Excuse me. But what's great about this is we had a live show a handful of weeks ago. Obviously, it's episode 393. So I think it was in fall of last year. One of the reasons why we don't back up our stuff, one of the reasons why we aren't working on the health insurance, one of the reasons why we don't have the hard drives that are an alternative avenue for us to have access to our things, is that we don't think things will happen. Like, we don't. If we did, as someone said, if we thought about all the things that could happen, we would never leave the house. Some people have chronic illnesses that are around this. So blessings to y'all. You know exactly what I'm talking about. The thing is that we need to have some level of awareness. And the important thing is that the awareness isn't stagnant. It's not like suddenly, it's not like you start a business at your kitchen table, which I've started several. I'm looking at my kitchen table in my kitchen right now. You start a business on your kitchen table, and then a few months later, you have 250,000 users. You start a business in your kitchen table, and years later, another company's talking about acquiring you. Like, I've been in these situations. Perhaps you have too. What we often don't realize is how quickly things are moving, how quickly things are changing. And when we do recognize how quickly things are changing, we can be in denial about it. Yeah, I'll go and deal with that later. I need to get this stuff done now. I'll deal with. I'm not going to forget about that. And then we forget about it, myself included. There's no judgment or, you know, treatise coming from me saying you should do better. No, like, that's, as I talk about in today's newsletter and joindamon.me, often that could be how humans operate. What we want to do is try to be aware of those transitions. There are business decisions that I made last year. Cannot wait to share them with you. I cannot right now. Maybe be a future episode. But there's all these behind the scenes business decisions that I made last year that very few people know about, just my closest confidants that have confidence in me. But very few people know about them. But I was like, no, this is the time to do it. This is the season that I'm in. We're going to make this decision. No, this is it. But it required me slowing down. And 2024 was a year of slowdown for me in a good way. So I slowed down enough to be like, oh, I wanted to do this, but now I want to do this when I was here. I recognized that I want to do this when I was here, and suddenly I'm here, and it never got done. That's what I'm getting at. That's what this whole episode is about. You're here right now. You see the future, and then you blink, and you're way past the future, and whatever you said you were going to get done hasn't gotten done. Again, this isn't a setup to beat you up. I definitely did beat myself up last year. But I recognized that things slowed down enough where I was like, wait a second. I'm supposed to get that settled, but all these other things are moving. And I totally forgot about it. Or I put it on the back burner. The key to this is knowing how to handle that change and transition as it's happening So then you can recognize the new world that you're in. But that requires slowing down just a little bit, just here. I coach entrepreneurs all day. I know you don't want to hear about slowing down, but do my best Robert De Niro impression. Just a little bit. Just just a hair. Just a hair. Slow down just a hair. This episode, Five Secrets to Change Transition, will help you figure out where and why you need to slow down. And once you're able to slow down a little bit, then you're able to make these decisions and think with clarity. Like, again, me having this conversation with y'all today, I know I'm like, all right, the next purchase I'm going to make for my business, I'm going to upgrade my hard drive because I can get by, like Talib Kweli, with the hard drive setup I have. But I'm like, it's getting a little long in the tooth. And I'm having so much fun having long episodes with y'all. That means more and more gigabytes in my computer. I need to upgrade. And so slowly things start to upgrade. But you notice slowly. If we're stuck in the patterns that we've always done, then we might not realize when we need to back up our stuff, when we need to upgrade, when we need to get to the next level. This episode will hopefully help. I'll either make this episode the one that you go to after this, or I'll do the taxes one. But likely it'll be this one because I think we've talked about the practical. Let's get into the psychological. How do you protect your business while you're traveling? Do you worry about that? Do you feel like you're on the edge when you travel? Are you relaxed enough to travel? And what decisions can you make based on the stuff we talked about today to make it a little bit less traumatizing for you to be on the road and not have immediate access to your business? And requiring you have immediate access to your business, is that the very thing that's burning you out? Big questions. My entrepreneurial coach, Damon Brown. I'm here to help you as a side hustler, solopreneur, otherwise a non-traditional entrepreneur. You're watching Bring Worth TV here live on Wednesdays at 1:11 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Vegas time. You can subscribe for free. And my latest book, the complete Bring Worth collection, is available. I don't know where the accent came from. Available wherever books are sold. You can actually listen to it for free right now at bringingworth.tv. It is my gift to y'all. Let me know in the comments. How do y'all feel when you're traveling? Do you feel like things are out of control? Do you feel like that you can't stop? We've done whole episodes on this, but feel free to jump into the comments. Let me know how y'all feeling and how you're dealing with it or not dealing with it. And maybe there's insight you can give to other people, and maybe there's insight that other people can give you. Until next time, maybe you can always bring your worth. You can always build from now. Take care of yourselves and others.